What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 109, 110. We are at episode 110. Yes, 110. Hope everybody's having a beautiful Friday, January 16th. It is 2026. Hey, it's the end of the week for most people. If you're working on the weekend, I'm sorry for you, but hey, go make that money. Go make that money. Welcome back to the greatest afternoon show in the world. At least that's how I feel about it. You ain't got to feel the same way. But hopefully everybody had a good week. You know, we meet here Monday through Friday, starting around 6 to 7 p.m. Like always, we got 4 topics to discuss today, 4 different topics. And there's a lot of things, a lot of crazy things that we always talk about. Just remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. How Future say it, let's have a sensational show today. Like I said, this is the greatest afternoon show in the world. You ain't got to say it, but eventually you will. But let's jump over into the first topic we're going to go over today. And we got to go over to one of our favorite places to look at and our favorite places to review. And we got to go over to the city of Chicago. We got to go to Chicago, where it looks like Chicago Crime Roundtable discussion. So we're going to look at a crime that just recently happened. And then around the same time, you have the mayor, Brandon Johnson, who said he's meeting with everybody to have a roundtable discussion to talk about how well the crime rate dropped last year and how they can continue to do the best. Because they always say, what? Crime is down in Chicago, y'all. Crime is down in Chicago. So let's get over into that video of this most recent park shooting. So let's get over into that.
And we now turn to some breaking news overnight. Right now, Chicago police are looking for the gunman in a deadly shooting in Morgan Park. 1 man was killed. 2 more are in the hospital right now being treated. That's where our Darius Johnson is joining us live now at Christ Hospital as we work to learn more information. Darius, good morning.
Good morning. The man who died has now been identified as Vincent Quindon, and there are 2 others in the hospital right now recovering, one of those men in critical condition. Take a listen to what we heard over police radio.
We got an off-duty calling in. A neighbor did witness the shooting. The shooters, they came out of 2027 West 111th. They got in their white vehicle, drove to the laundromat, and after the shooting, they went back inside that apartment.
In this video, you can see Chicago police officers searching a white SUV at the scene in Morgan Park. There are several bullet holes, one at the back driver's side door and another right above through the window. The 3 men were shot around 8:30 last night at 110th and Longwood. Chicago Fire located the 3 victims blocks away on Homewood. They were brought here to Christ Hospital. The 28-year-old who died was shot in the lower back. The second victim, also a 28-year-old man, was shot in the foot and is expected to be okay. The third victim, whose age is unknown, was shot multiple times throughout his body and is listed in critical condition. No one is in custody. We're live at Christ Hospital. I'm Darius.
It's a crazy situation. Let's go over to this next video where we can see if we learn anything else or they got any more information.
Was last night's fatal shooting in Morgan Park drug-related?
That is what Alderman Matthew O'Shea tells Fox Chicago after we found out 1 man died and 2 more were wounded.
Fox Chicago's Brett Bagansky found out that it happened just blocks away from a Chicago police station.
When you're talking about drugs and guns, no neighborhood is safe.
A fatal shooting Wednesday night in Morgan Park. 1 man dead, 2 more wounded. This is video we obtained from the Citizen app showing one crime scene at 111th and South Longwood.
They're taping up right now.
The other at Prospect and Homewood, where you see Chicago police officers putting up crime tape around a white van where it appears there are multiple bullet holes. If you take a look at this map, it shows both crime scenes blocks away from Chicago Police District 22 headquarters.
That appears to be a drug deal gone bad.
How alarming is this, knowing it was just blocks away from a police station?
I think it's just another example of how
criminals don't care. They don't care. If there are enough bad people out there who don't care about where they are, more stuff like this is going to happen. Let's keep going.
Another example of how dangerous communities are when you have people involved in drugs, in possession of weapons.
Alderman Matthew O'Shea from the 19th Ward tells Fox Chicago that Chicago police briefed him about what happened and said while we don't know what was said before 3 men got shot, there were multiple guns inside the car.
Somebody in the car called 911.
The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that man to be 28-year-old Vincent Quindon from Chicago. One man is in critical condition with multiple gunshot wounds. Another is in good condition after getting shot in the foot.
I reached out to several businesses in the area to ask them about their personal safety, considering this fatal shooting happened just blocks away from a Chicago police station. And while none of them wanted to go on camera, a few of them told me off camera that they would like to see more Chicago police officers here on patrol, especially at night.
O'Shea also said there's surveillance video from Wednesday night that could answer some questions about why all of this happened.
Right. Somebody involved here was in some building, an apartment there somewhere in the vicinity where this would have, someone was picked up and a drug transaction was underway. Hopefully the surviving members of this incident will cooperate with law enforcement.
They won't. They won't. We already know they won't. But let's get over into this next video where we hear about Mayor Johnson he's going to have a roundtable discussion about about their efforts to reduce crime and how well it was last year and how they're trying to do even better this year. But no matter what I see, there's a lot of crime still down in Chicago. Let's go over to the next video.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, police officers, and some community violence intervention groups gathered today to talk about cutting down on crime. Right now, the focus is on what went right last year to keep crime numbers down and what they need to do moving forward. Our Sade Gray joins us in our newsroom. Sade, they say the collaboration between police and the community was really key here.
Marie, Mayor Brandon Johnson says today wasn't about taking a victory lap. His team, the 5th District Police Department and community violence intervention groups say communication, collaboration, and coordination are the 3 keys to success in reducing crime.
Because we are far from done.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, sitting at the head of today's roundtable discussion at the Calumet 5th District Police Station, says his administration isn't there to take credit for the decrease in crime last year, but to figure out what they need to do so they can see numbers continue to drop.
As long as you have that communication, it allows us to detect the problem, try to come up with a common goal or a solution, and that's the main part.
He says it's been made possible by leadership like he's seen in the 5th District Police Station and their partnership with community violence intervention groups like Aclevis Inc. The organization, a community health group focused on violence prevention, was founded in 2010.
This is probably by far the first time that we've had a police administration that, in my opinion, have seen the community as an asset and not as an adversary, and they've worked to build relationships.
After multiple attacks on the CTA this past weekend, Mayor Brandon Johnson saying the CTA is near the top of his list of challenges in Chicago that his administration is working to do better. We wanted to know, what's the next step?
How are you moving forward to make sure people feel safe?
Reducing violence is not limited to reducing shootings and homicides. Again, these folks around this table, we're trying to transform communities, right? And so if violence is less in a community, but people don't have meaningful jobs or access to health care, that association with violence is still material.
One of the officers says from their perspective, they had to understand to see people as people first and vice versa when it comes to the community viewing officers. They say having that open conversation with community violence intervention groups helps them understand how to address their communities they serve. Reporting in the newsroom.
Now, I'm a little confused just because he said the last part that Mayor Johnson said about reducing violent crime. If people don't have good jobs or not good health care, then I guess that stigma of violence stays with them. I'm a little confused on that part. But we've seen a lot of things. It was 4 stabbings on a Chicago train in just a week. That's the 4th one this year, just in 16 days. But they say crime is down, but some people are saying that they are padding the numbers. Some people are saying they're padding the numbers, but tell me, y'all, what are your thoughts on that whole situation? Do you think they're padding the numbers? Do you think crime is really down? But you see, we just had another shooting at a park in Chicago, but crime is down, and they did a good job last year, and they're trying to do even better this year. That's what they're saying. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. No matter what, we got to review the world together. We have to review the world together. We're going to pivot over into Cobb County now. We're going to go over to Cobb County, where officers have been arrested. And it sounds like they're arrested for some very foul things. So let's get over into that whole situation and see if we can find out it. 2 Cobb County officers arrested. So let's jump over into that and see what we can find out.
2 Cobb County police officers are facing child-related charges this morning.
Atlanta News First reporter Mary-Kate Hamilton is live in Cobb County, where the community is reacting to these very disturbing accusations.
Yes, one officer charged with sexual battery to a child, another charged with cruelty to a child. And these arrests happened within days of each other. However, Cobb County says the 2 incidents are not related. I'm going to show you these 2 men, each arrested again on separate charges. The first, Withman Benjamin, he's 47, faces 1 count of sexual battery against a child under 16. He was arrested on January 9th and booked into the Cherokee County Jail, but was released the very next day on a $3,500 bond. He's accused of inappropriately touching a 16-year-old without their consent. He is now on administrative leave. Cobb County police officer Tyler Bertolini was arrested. He faces charges of 1st-degree and 3rd-degree cruelty to children. He's accused of brutally beating a 10-year-old child with a belt while another watched on. He turned himself in to Cherokee County Jail on Tuesday. Police Chief James Dan Farrell is weighing in, saying in part, quote, "Our officers must uphold the law and conduct themselves with integrity on and off duty." We also spoke to community members who say they're surprised to see officers face charges like this.
It's horrible. I have a young boy. He's 13, so, and he's thinking about going into that field, and scary. When you're in trouble, you call the cops, right?
Now, that's a crazy situation. Let's go back and look at, we got another video that we'll get to into this, but let's go back and look at these people. So one, sexual assault of a 16-year-old, the other child cruelty, beating a kid with a belt, and another kid watched. I would like to know a little bit more. I'm assuming it had to be very cruel and it's not just a normal whooping, because if the old school people know, we grew up on whoopings, and there's a difference between whooping a child for as punishment for them doing something bad and then abusing them. At least that's my stance. You might feel differently, but we're going to go into more into the AI breakdown to see what else we can find out. But let's go over to this next video and see what else they give us.
Also developing tonight, 2 Cobb County police officers have been arrested in unrelated cases.
Both officers are charged with crimes involving children. Fox 5's Denise Dillon is live in Cobb County, and Denise, details about both arrests were released today.
That's right. And again, now these cases are unrelated, but 2 officers booked into jail just a few days apart is certainly surprising.
2 men in jail orange jumpsuits instead of their normal blue police uniforms. Both men are Cobb County police officers. Both are now facing criminal charges in unrelated cases.
I'm very surprised, to say the least.
47-year-old Withman Benjamin, who has worked for the Cobb Police Department for almost 7 years, was the center of a months-long investigation. Benjamin lives in Canton. In September, at the request of the Canton police, the GBI launched an investigation involving Benjamin. As a result, he was arrested Friday, charged with sexual battery against a child under 16.
At first, I almost didn't want to believe it. As a police officer, you expect them to keep us safe and especially our children safe. What made it extra shocking was that he's a very nice guy and very friendly and personable.
Just days after that arrest, another Cobb police officer, Tyler Bertolini, was booked into the Cherokee County Jail Tuesday on charges of 2 counts of cruelty to children. This came after an investigation by the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Bertolini has been an officer with the Cobb Police Department for a little more than 5 years. We tried to reach him at his home, but no one came to the door. Cobb Police Chief Darren Farrell released separate statements about the arrests of the officers. The expectation in Cobb County is clear. Our officers must uphold the law and conduct themselves with integrity on and off duty. The statements also say the police department will respect due process and take appropriate action to maintain the trust and confidence of our community.
Now, no matter what, it's a crazy situation. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just so we can see a little bit more details and see if they tell us anything else about this whole situation. So, of course, in January 2026, 2 Cobb County police officers were arrested in separate, unrelated incidents. So, Officer Whitman Benjamin, 47, arrested on January 9th. They did a 4-month investigation with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. He faces 1 felony count of sexual battery of a child under 16 for allegedly touching a teenage girl without her consent. He was released on bond on a $3,500 bond. Tyler, I'm not even going to try to say the last name, turned himself in and was jailed on January 13th, 2026. Following the investigation, he was charged with first degree and third degree cruelty to children. He is accused of whipping a 10-year-old boy 5 times with a belt, causing severe pain and visible bruising. He was released on a $7,500 bond. So the Cobb County Police chief released that statement. It's a... Now, first things first, it's a crazy thing. Well, I want to know, were the children, so was officer, were they his children? Damn. Let's see if we get a little bit more details about it. So he was arrested on charge of first degree cruelty following to children. According to his arrest warrant, the charges stem from following allegations: physical abuse. He was alleged of using a belt to strike a 10-year-old boy 5 times. The officials' reports do not explicitly state if the children involved are his own, though the incident occurred at his home in Canton. Following the charges, he turned himself in. So we don't know if they were his kids or not. Okay, so the third degree cruelty charge related to a 7-year-old boy being in the house at the time of being able to hear the attack. I would like to know if he definitely whooped him too bad, if it was a whooping, but if he was physically trying to abuse him, yes, he needs to go to jail. But this is a crazy situation. I would like to know if they were his own kids, if he was trying to punish them and it got too out of control, or was it he was abusing his kids? But obviously, I'm assuming they felt it as the latter. The other officer, you can't even say anything about him. He's touching a girl under 16. Send him straight to jail. It's a crazy thing to think about, that his bond was less than the one who, I don't know. What are y'all thoughts, y'all? What are y'all thoughts? Do you think it's a worse crime for the officer Whitman Benjamin, or do you think Tyler was beating his own children or trying to whoop them, or was he just an abuser? You know, you got to be careful nowadays. You can't whoop your kids like you used to. Some people say that's the problem with the world now, that parents ain't whooping their kids right. But it all depends on how the parenting style. It's a crazy situation no matter how you see it is. And officers got to be held to the same standard as the regular people. It's as simple as that. I always do it backwards. The officers have to be held to the same standard as the regular people. It's just how it needs to be. But we'll keep up with these 2 individuals, see what happens during their trials, and what exactly, if we get more details about if the kids were his or not. Overall, it's a crazy situation. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy. But we're going to pivot over now into the next topic where we got to go down to Florida. We got to go down to Florida. And we got a Florida woman who has just been found guilty of killing her sister. The craziest thing is it's happened 4 years ago, and the woman is now 72 years old. Yeah, 72 years old. So let's get over into the video and see what else we can find out about this whole situation. Of course, we'll do the AI breakdown to see if we learn anything else. Let's jump over into it.
First at 5, prosecutors say this 72-year-old woman killed her own sister and buried her in their backyard in Hillsborough County nearly 4 years ago. But her defense attorneys say the state has no proof. It will be up to a jury to decide whether Deborah Patton is guilty of murder. Fox 13's Kylie Jones is live outside the Hillsborough County Courthouse where Patton's trial is underway. Kylie.
Well, and after numerous delays in the court process, it's been almost 5 years since Karen Payeas was found buried in her backyard. Her sister, Deborah Patton, spent 2 of those years in a mental health hospital. She was once deemed incompetent to stand trial. Today, we finally heard opening statements as her trial got underway. After more than 4.5 years, at 72 years old, Deborah Patton is back in a Hillsborough County courtroom on trial for her sister's murder.
She put a bullet in her chest and then wrapped her up in towels and in plastic bags, bungee cords, duct tape. You'll see how she was wrapped up. And then took her to her own backyard and buried her in the ground.
Patton was living...
This happened 5 years ago. She's 72 now. Can a 67-year-old woman move like that? Can a 67-year-old woman move like that? Shot her, wrapped her body up in plastic bags, dragged her outside, and buried her? I wonder how deep she buried her. It couldn't have been deep. Couldn't have been deep unless she was digging all day.
With her sister, Karen Payeas, in her Carrollwood home at the time of the murder in 2021. But state prosecutors say the sisters had a rocky relationship, according to Karen's longtime friends who took the stand on Tuesday.
Deborah was not interested in joining with us anymore. She would walk by to take the dog out, not speak to us. Just got rather cold and distant.
Prosecutors say in May of 2021, Karen's friends stopped hearing from her. When they did get messages from her, they said something was off. Patton's defense says if that was the case, investigators could have searched Karen's phone.
They never try and locate the phone. They don't pull any phone records to try and see had the phone been at the house the whole time where Deborah Patton was.
The search for Karen moved forward with security camera footage from a deputy who lived across the street. His cameras captured the last moments Karen was seen outside her home.
Is that in fact the last time that you looked through this video that you ever saw Karen exit or enter into that residence?
Yes.
That deputy testified about video later that night showing Patton taking a garbage bag to the trash can.
Once Karen Payeas is found in the backyard, you're going to learn the investigation is over. And Deborah Patton is arrested, charged, and sits here before you, not because they find any proof that she kills Karen Payeas. Not because they find any evidence.
Patton could be seen writing notes to her attorneys on a notepad throughout the day, as day 1 of the trial wrapped up with more witness testimony.
Now, here's a question. You see how alert she is and how non-mentally ill she's. I mean, I guess you can't really see mental, but she was. Remember, this trial holded up for 2 years because she was in a mental institution. So was she faking it? Was she really mentally ill? Or did she already have everything planned? But let's get over into this next video where she was found guilty.
Kim, thanks. Loved ones of a 66-year-old woman who was found dead back in 2021 finally have a little bit of relief. Yesterday, we brought you the verdict against Deborah Patton. She's the one who was found guilty of shooting her own sister in their Carrollwood home 5 years ago. Fox 13's Evan Axelbanks in our newsroom now with more and some reaction from those who knew Karen Pace the best. Evan.
Yeah, it was agonizing for Karen's loved ones because they felt that Deborah Patton was slow walking the court process. After 5 years, they got their wish in under an hour, with the jury apparently having little trouble in making their decision.
Deborah Patton was finally out of lifelines.
I will adjudicate her guilty, remand her to the custody of Hillsborough County Jail without bond.
Thank goodness the jurors saw through and saw what we saw, and I do feel like a huge weight has just been lifted.
Kathy and Joel Wincoop were lifelong friends of Karen Paez and knew right away that when she was found buried in her own backyard, that there could be only one suspect.
Karen told us, all of us, many times, if I end up missing or something happens to me, Deborah did it.
Though prosecutors never pinned down a motive, friends say Patton...
Oh, back to that. What did she say?
Told us, all of us, many times, if I end up missing or something happens to me, Deborah did it.
Though prosecutors never pinned down a motive, friends say Patton was living in Karen's house cost-free, and that could have led to friction. Though deputies never found Patton's gun, Karen was found a foot underground, wrapped in bags and shot through the chest.
Karen had such a great heart. She would say, no, she's my sister. I love her. She's got no one else to turn to, no other family. I have to take care of her.
Yeah, and that's how she got repaid.
And that's how she got repaid.
The verdict ends a 5-year saga. Patton spent 2 of those years at a mental hospital because a doctor found her incompetent to stand trial. Once she was deemed competent, she also insisted that she be given new attorneys.
The things that I've asked her to do, she's unwilling to do.
The judge declined that.
She's a professional among professionals, and I have complete confidence in her representation.
For Karen's friends, the verdict is a chance to let go of the stress they felt since the moment Karen's body was found. Would the only suspect ever pay a price?
I had a lot of anger towards her. I still probably do, but it doesn't feel as bad now because I know she's where she's going to be. I don't have to worry about her getting out, you know.
On the second-degree murder charge, Patton faces 25 years to life. Now that she's 72 years old, it is likely she's never going to get out, even if she gets the minimum sentence. Sentencing is going to be on February 16th, so we'll find out then, Mark.
All right, Evan.
25 years to life. Oh, God. 72 years old. Now, it does seem to me, at least to me, that she might have been faking the mental health. I don't know. We can never be sure. But it just seems rather convenient that I guess maybe she was trying to go for the insanity plea. And I guess the doctor wasn't playing with it. 2 years, he let it go. He's like, all right, yeah. But we don't know. We don't know how it is. She might have been really struggling with her mental health for those 2 years. But let's get over into the AI breakdown and see what else we can find out. So on January 14th, 2026, the 72-year-old Deborah was found guilty of second-degree murder for killing her sister and burying her in the backyard. So remember that she was buried a foot underground. So if they would have just said she would have buried 6 feet, I would have had the hardest time believing a 72-year-old woman buried her 6 feet. But let's get over into the more details about it. So we know the victim was her younger sister. Her younger sister, Jesus. In May 2021, she shot Paris in the chest and buried her body in a shallow grave in the backyard. Neighbors and friends requested a welfare check on May 31st after she had been missing for several days. Investigators found her body wrapped in a garbage bag and towels under 2 feet of fresh dirt, so 2 feet. The trial delayed for nearly 5 years because she was initially found incompetent to stand trial and spent 2 years in a mental health hospital. A 6-person jury deliberated for exactly 1 hour before returning the guilty verdict. She faces 25 years to life with the sentence hearing on February 2026. So a DNA expert testified that the DNA was found inside the rubber gloves buried with her sister. Friends testified that Paris had previously told them, if I go missing or I'm found dead, then it was my sister who did it. And then surveillance video, neighbors' security cameras showed that she entered her home for the last time, followed later that night by the older sister taking out the garbage bag. 25 years to life. And I think they said that was the older sister living with This is a good question. Was the older sister living rent-free in the house? Yes. So Deborah was living in her sister's home cost-free. And the friends believe that the financial arrangement and the resulting tension may have contributed to the murder. So you live in there rent-free and then kill your own sister and bury her in the backyard? Now, the honest, do you truly believe, y'all? Do y'all truly believe that this woman was, I always do it backwards, that this woman was facing a mental health crisis for 2 years? 2 years. And now she's finally able to face her judgment after 5 years after she killed her sister. Her own younger sister. And now she might die in prison. It's a crazy situation. Sometimes you can't even trust your family members. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts. We will keep up with this to see if she gets a reduced sentence or anything like that, or the judge considers her old age. But let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy situation, y'all. It's a very crazy situation. We're going to pivot over into the last topic we're going to be discussing today. Probably end a little shorter today, but hey, 4 topics. So we go over the last topic we're going to be discussing today. We got to go to Trump. We got to go to Trump, where Trump ends up getting the Nobel Peace Prize medal, and it sounds like they're going to share it. So some people were saying that Trump should have won the Nobel Peace Prize in the first place. But let's get over into these videos and see what this whole situation is about. So no one would have, well, some people probably expected it, but let's get into it. We're going to look at, we got 2 videos, or was it 2? Yeah, 2 videos to look at, so we'll get into that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you explain how you view, your great healthcare plan will impact Americans' health insurance premiums?
It's going to be it is a tremendous plan. It's called the Great Healthcare Plan. And we're going to get tremendous reductions, as you know, through, if you look at medicines and prescription drugs, they're going to come down by numbers that have never been seen before. And we're doing that by most favored nations. And other nations, whoever pays the lowest in the world, that's what we're going to pay. Right now, we're paying sometimes 10 times higher than other nations. So we have favored nations. That's been approved. Other nations have, for the most part, agreed to it. And they had no choice, otherwise we were going to put tariffs on them.
President Trump,
healthcare plan that we're coming, the money's going to be paid directly to the people. So it goes directly, not to the companies, not to the insurance companies. It's going to go directly to the people, and the people are going to buy their own health care. They'll get much better health care at a much reduced price.
President Trump,
pull out of NATO if it doesn't help you acquire Greenland. If it doesn't legalize. Well, we're going to see. NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing.
But I will go over to another one real quickly. Hold on. Let's go over to this video.
President Donald Trump is now in possession of Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado's Nobel Peace Prize. Comes as President Trump continues to manage intense difficulty around the globe, including the ongoing protests in Iran. Alice Barr has more.
Closing out an eventful week on the world stage, President Trump is now in possession of a Nobel Peace Prize, presented to him by Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado.
And a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom.
She told Fox News the gift is on behalf of the people of Venezuela.
He deserves it.
The president called it a wonderful gesture of mutual respect, though it is symbolic, with the Nobel Institute saying the prize cannot be transferred. Machado's visit comes amid uncertainty over her role in Venezuela's future. Following the U.S. ouster of authoritarian leader Nicolas Maduro, President Trump said he did not believe Machado had the respect to lead. Florida Republican lawmakers hoping hoping she'll prove otherwise.
She's the legitimate leader of the opposition in Venezuela. She proved it. She earned it.
President Trump has said the U.S. would run Venezuela until a safe transition can be made, and praised interim president and Maduro loyalist Delcy Rodriguez.
She's somebody that we've worked with very well.
Citing her support this week of a U.S. sale of Venezuelan oil, while U.S. forces seized another oil tanker linked to Venezuela that Homeland Security says was illegally defying sanctions. All that as President Trump is closely monitoring tensions in Iran, noting the Iranian regime backed off planned executions of protesters after the president warned the U.S. could take action. U.S.-based human rights activists say more than 2,600 people have died in the crackdown on anti-government protesters, and the White House says all options remain on the table. As he weighs his options, President Trump told his national security team that if he chose military action, it would need to be a swift and decisive blow to the regime, not a sustained war. That's according to 4 sources, including a U.S. official. U.S. forces evacuated from a base in Qatar amid Iranian threats to retaliate if the U.S. strikes. In Washington,
it's a crazy situation all over the world. Now, here's a question. Do you think that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize? Some people do, some people don't. Tell me your thoughts, what you think about that. But there are some people who, because she gave Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, that she is just trying to flatter her way to being the Venezuelan leader. Let me go over to that and see what we think about this whole situation as well. So let's get on to it.
In the Caribbean, a new video shows U.S. forces seizing another oil tanker linked to Venezuela. President Trump has said the U.S. will control Venezuela's oil reserves and the country itself. Now, the battle over who should lead Venezuela ramped up as Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado visits Washington, D.C. Despite sharing her Nobel Peace Prize with President Trump, he has not switched his support for interim President Delcy Rodriguez. Now, moments ago, Machado began speaking to the media and discussed her meeting with Trump.
Now we face a very complex and delicate process, and as Venezuelans, we are absolutely grateful to President Trump, his team, his administration, and the people of the United States, because it took a lot of courage to do what he did. And he did it, yes, on behalf of the American people, but also because he cares for the people of Venezuela. And he told me that yesterday. And I think that was the most important message I can bring back to my country.
And joining us now from Washington is CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazes. Olivia, there's been a lot of maneuvering in the past 24 hours for Venezuela's leadership. So how has Machado been received in Washington?
Yeah, you heard her there being very careful and diplomatic, and by all appearances, her meetings at the White House seem to have been courteous and respectful, but what's not clear is whether they're actually translating into any stronger U.S. and President Trump's backing for her bid to lead in Venezuela. The administration still hasn't laid out any timeline for when they'd like to see elections there, and they are instead moving pretty full steam ahead with these major oil deals with the current government led by Delcy Rodriguez. In the past, the president only offered kind of faint praise for Maria Corina Machado, calling her a very nice woman, while also kind of openly questioning whether she could win broad support at home. We do know that before Maduro's capture, U.S. intelligence said that existing leadership would be more stable in the short term, but that assessment now appears to be driving policy, with this White House signaling deeper cooperation, especially with the oil deals.
And, you know, she met with President Trump yesterday, but at the same time, CBS News has learned CIA Director John Ratcliffe traveled to Venezuela to meet with Delcy Rodriguez also yesterday. So what might this signal about the United States' future plans?
Yeah, absolutely. So he is, CIA Director Ratcliffe is the first cabinet level official to have traveled to Venezuela since Maduro's capture, which, if you can believe it, was just 12 days ago. We're told he spent roughly 2 hours meeting with Rodriguez, in part to lay this groundwork for what could become a working relationship going forward. The message he was tasked with delivering was twofold. One, the U.S. is open to future economic cooperation, but two, Venezuela can no longer serve as a safe haven for drug traffickers, which was the objection in the first place. I mean, the very fact that this groundwork is being laid is telling, because it suggests that the administration is betting on the relationship with Rodriguez going forward and staying on track. And it's also kind of underscoring how deeply involved U.S. intelligence has been. The CIA, we know, had a covert team on the ground as early as August of last year. They had a human source helping the U.S. work to track Maduro's movements. And this level of personal engagement from the CIA director just shows how central Venezuela is to his own portfolio, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a wild situation. It's a very wild situation. Now, tell me, y'all. Do y'all think that the opposition leader, the one who presented Trump with I always do it backwards. The opposition leader who presented Trump with the Nobel Peace Prize, what she truly meant? Did she truly think he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, or was this something just to help get her closer to being the leader, or the true leader that the U.S. recognizes? To me, it just seemed, one, Trump is, of course, trying to get more resources for America. So that's why, of course, he's trying to get the oil deals. But who do you think he will back? He sounds like if the current leader still holds, the current vice president, I think it's vice president, I might be saying that wrong, but the current person who's currently in power right there still holds the majority influence, Trump will deal with them rather than the opposition leader. I'm assuming the whole thing is just about trying to get the best deal for America. At least that's my thinking. But y'all might feel differently. I might be seeing it different. Y'all might be seeing it differently than I. But let me know your thoughts on that whole situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. What are your thoughts? Do you think she really meant it? Do you think Trump is only out for the oil? What is your thoughts on this whole thing? Absolutely crazy situation. But the world is a crazy place, and we have to review the world together. Y'all know what the name of the show is. It's AC Reviews the World, and I am your host, AC the Engineer. And we are at the end of the show for the week, y'all. The end of the last show of the week, Friday, January 16th, episode 110. That is it for episode 110. Thank you for watching now. Thank you for watching later. The world is a crazy place, and we got to keep reviewing this world together, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, y'all, this is the greatest afternoon show in the world. I'm going to say it. You don't got to believe me, but I'm going to say it. We had a sensational show. That's how Future used to say it, or Future says it. But hopefully everybody had a good week. Hopefully you learned something. Tell me if you, like always, I say it, if you disagreed with anything I said, let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. Leave a comment. And let's go forward. Let's learn and review this stuff together. I'm not going to say I'm 100% know everything. Of course I'm not. So you might have a different experience than I do, or have different knowledge that I don't. So let's talk about it. That is what that's what the show is for us to have a review and discuss these things together. It's a crazy world, y'all. But you already know these videos will be broken down so you can watch the one you want to. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos I drop. But that is it for now, y'all. Y'all enjoy your weekend. I will be back Monday between 6 and 7. You know why? Because we cannot miss. Holidays, don't matter what it is, we do not miss. All right, that's all for now, y'all. You already know. We got to play that outro. Peace.